Chairman Jiang Zhao, Chair Shalin Bashevsky, Ambassador Max Baucus, ladies and gentlemen, friends old and new. It gives me great pleasure to join you in the beautiful city of Hong Kong via video link. For me, Hong Kong always holds a special place in my heart, filled with fond memories. This is also the third time that I have attended the US-China-Hong Kong Forum since I came to the United States. I look forward to discussing China-US relations with you and jointly exploring the way forward. This year has witnessed ups and downs in China-US relations, especially bilateral economic and trade ties came across major setbacks at one point. At a critical moment, President Xi Jinping and President Donald Trump navigated the giant ship of China-US relations through rough waters and hidden rocks and steer it forward with their strategic guidance. Together, we have taken new steps to explore a right way for our two countries to get along in the new era, a course of the century. It is both the shared wish of our two peoples and a common expectation of the entire world that we can promote the steady, sound, and sustainable development of China-US relations from this new historical starting point. To this end, I would like to share with you three thoughts. First, it is important to keep to the direction set by our presidents and faithfully implement the consensus reached during their meeting. Heads of state diplomacy serves as a compass and anchor for China-US relations. Since the start of this year, President Xi Jinping and President Trump have spoken on the phone 3 times, exchanged several letters, and held a successful meeting in Busan not long ago, recalibrating the direction of China-US relations at crucial junctures. The Busan summit is not the finish line, but a new starting point. The pressing priority is to ensure whole process management, take solid steps to follow up, and in particular, act on the consensus reached between the two presidents during the meeting as early as possible, so as to lay a firm foundation for China-US relations for the benefit of both countries and the world. China always keeps its words. We hope the US side will work with us in the same direction and take concrete actions so as to reassure both our peoples and the international community. The current stabilizing momentum has not come easy and should be doubly cherished. It is important to avoid flip-flopping, causing any new disruption, or taking one step forward but then retreating half or even 2 steps backward, which would only cause new difficulties and obstacles for bilateral relations. Second, it is important to draw wisdom from history and resolutely advance mutually beneficial cooperation. This year's forum will look back on the history of China and the United States jointly defeating fascism and building the post-war international order 80 years ago, and inspire us to cherish the value of peace and cooperation. Despite the wind and rain China-US relations have gone through over the past 8 decades, from every perspective, our shared interest in safeguarding world peace and prosperity always come first. Our two sides can help each other succeed rather than hurt one another, and should seek common ground and resolve differences rather than engage in a zero-sum game. The 20th CPC Central Committee successfully held its 4th plenary session last month. As China embarks on a new journey during the 15th 5-year plan period, there is vast room for China-US cooperation in areas such as green development, artificial intelligence, digital economy, health, tourism, and agriculture. At the recently concluded 8th China International Import Expo, American companies took up the largest exhibition area for the 7th year in a row, casting votes of confidence in the Chinese economy. With China's middle-income group set to exceed 800 million in the coming decade or so, the world's largest, most vibrant consumer market is taking shape at a faster pace, This open and ever-developing supersized market will bring huge opportunities like never before to the US and the entire world. China and the United States should make the list of partnership longer and the cake of cooperation bigger. To resolve the major challenges facing the world today, coordination and cooperation between our two countries are indispensable. We need to live up to our responsibility as major countries and together inject more stability and positive energy into world peace and development. Third, it is important to cultivate the foundation of people-to-people exchanges and bring hearts closer. The Chinese and American peoples share a natural affinity for each other. Our exchanges run deep and long, and the bond between our peoples have never ceased to grow. More than 2 centuries ago, the US ship Empress of China set out on a voyage to China, marking the start of bilateral trade. Half a century ago, ping-pong diplomacy helped to break the ice during the Cold War and facilitated the establishment of China-US diplomatic relations. Over 40 years ago, stories of the old friends in Iowa and the bond with Kuliang added a heartwarming chapter to our relations. Today, President Xi Jinping's initiative to invite 50,000 young Americans to China on exchange and study programs in 5 years is being put into action. And we are seeing more and more young Americans coming to China and building new bridges of goodwill across the Pacific. For years, the China-United States Exchange Foundation has been dedicated to nurturing mutual understanding and affinity between our two peoples and has made important contributions. Meanwhile, a few individuals in the United States have seen Chinese students, scholars, and friendly organizations like the Foundation as national security threats through a biased lens and have tried every means to smear and obstruct them. But just as the line in a Chinese poem reads, "No mountain can stop the surging flow of the mighty river," the tide of people's friendship will never be held back by the undertow and will continue to forge ahead. People with vision in China and the US need to step forward and speak up against the wrong practices of stigmatizing people-to-people exchanges. Work together to remove the stumbling blocks and create a favorable atmosphere for supporting greater mutual understanding, exchanges, and cooperation between all sectors of society in our two countries. Dear friends, for China and the United States, realizing the vision of helping each other succeed and prospering together would not be a smooth sailing and will require our joint efforts. During the Busan summit, President Xi Jinping pointed out that China and the United States should be partners and friends. This is what history has taught us and what reality needs. President Trump said that China is the biggest partner of the US. The US and China have always had a fantastic relationship, and it will be even better. We'll make both China and the US even better. Going forward, no matter how the situation may evolve, the historical trend of win-win cooperation between China and the United States will not change. The ultimate wish of our two peoples for exchanges and cooperation will not change. The expectations of the whole world for a steady growing China-US relationship will not change. We have 1,000 reasons to make the China-US relationship a success and no single reason to mess it up. As a Chinese proverb goes, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Let's step up and act now, pool wisdom for promoting bilateral exchanges and cooperation, and jointly usher in a brighter future for China-US relations. I wish the US-China-Hong Kong Forum 2025 a great success. May Hong Kong, the pole of the Orient, shine ever brighter and achieve new glory in prosperity and stability. Thank you very much.